Yo, what's up, everybody? How you doing? Going live again today. I know I just produced a video where I talked about how the part that I forgot to add to the Noah story, and I know I did a video a couple of days ago talking about the whole ending of the Noah story, but I thought I wanted to have a discussion with you guys concerning it. So if you're finding me for the first time, we deconstruct Christianity on this page. We are not trying to convert anybody over to anything other than, for those people who have been asking questions and who have walked away from this religion on their own. Now, like, share, and subscribe to the page. What's up, reverse? And yeah, all that nice, good stuff. We're gonna give a few minutes for people to get on. But yeah, we talked. I did a video about this. Hope you guys go and check out the video. Hey, Debbie, how you doing? Hopefully, we can get some good commentary. Maybe even some people come on, and we'll see how it goes. Gabby, how you doing? And we will have a discussion here concerning the jacked up ending of the Noah story. It is an incredibly messed up story of how the Noah story ends and how that story has been used to perpetuate the enslavement of foreigners. And there's a lot more that goes into it beyond just, in Leviticus, where it talks about how you can make slaves of your foreigners. So there are other aspects of this whole story. But the Noah story has been being used. The curse of Ham has been used, and some people call it the curse of Canaan, has been used to enslave people. But it leaves a big, huge question, right? It leaves a huge question. Appreciate that, Kevin. Heal, what's up, Grand Rising? So it leaves out a huge question, and we're going to discover some of these questions together. All right. So let's get started. I usually give about 5 minutes for people to get on, but yeah, well, we're going to just go ahead and kick it. We're going to go ahead and kick it. If you're finding me for the first time, let me know. Let me know if you're finding me for the first time. So what do we have? We got this Noah story, right? Now, most of everybody, they focus on the actual flood story of Noah, and that's about it. The ending of the story, towards the end of the story, is very interesting in how it's been used to justify. And there are even black people who run around saying the curse of Canaan, the curse of Ham, is why our ancestors went through what they went through. But there are certain things that just simply don't add up. It just don't add up at all. California in the house. What's up? What's up? Grand Rising Sean, Kevin, Jerry, Julia. So what's some of the aspects of this story? So let me go ahead and give you guys the rundown on what happens in this story towards the end. So most people know the flood and the animals and all that sort of thing, but we kind of like you skip over the towards the end of the story. So at the end of the story, after Noah has made his sacrifice to this God, and then Noah has, and then the rainbow, and this God has said that he will not destroy man again because every thought from man's heart is evil and everything. So Noah then, out of his sadness, I'm guessing, it's glitching on TikTok. So if you're having problems on TikTok, I'm also on Facebook and YouTube as Deconstructing Christianity. Those are my primary pages that I use, Facebook and YouTube, Deconstructing Christianity. This is not my normal time, but I'm moving to San Antonio Thursday. And so next week, I will start having a normal schedule for lives. I haven't decided if it's going to be 12 noon Central Time or it's going to be in the evening. It'll be one or the other. So we'll see when we get there. All right. ATL. What's up? Yep. I'm planning on not moving back to ATL again. So, all right. Where was I? In the story. So Noah then plants a vineyard. And after he plants this vineyard, Noah then gets drunk, right? And he gets so drunk that Noah is butt booty naked. He falls out, passes out, butt booty naked in his tent. Now, his son Ham, who comes into his father's tent, and at any time, TikTok is Deconstructing Christianity as well, Paris. So so Ham goes into the tent, sees that his daddy is butt booty ass naked. Now, he goes out and he tells his other two brothers, hey, daddy's in there. He passed out drunk. He butt ass naked. And the other two brothers, they walk in backwards They walk in backwards and cover Noah up. Well, Noah wakes up, and the Bible says expressly, after Noah has seen what Ham had done to him, which that doesn't indicate anything. There are some Christian theories where they start talking about, well, um, he must have sexually abused Noah in his drunken state. And some Christian apologists have utilized the fact that it says that after Noah woke up and saw what Ham had done to him, what and then others use that to say that Ham mocked him. The Bible says neither one. It just says he saw what is done to him, and then he put a curse on him, on his son, his grandson. There's nothing in this literature, outside this literature, that suggests that Ham did anything other than see his daddy drunk, butt ass naked, and then went and told his brothers. And so Noah then decides that I'm going to put a curse on Canaan. Now, Ham is the one that saw him naked, uncovered his father's nakedness. Instead of cursing Ham, he puts a curse on Ham's kid, Canaan. Now, there are then apologists who will go out and say, well, he put a curse on on Canaan, because Ham had already been blessed by God. And they will go to where the Bible speaks in Numbers, I believe. Yeah, Numbers. Well, the whole story with Balaam, and I believe that's in Numbers. It might be in Judges, but I think it's in Numbers, where Balaam is told that, do not put a curse on Israel because I have blessed Israel. Okay, but there's nothing in the Genesis story that says that Ham had been blessed. It's nothing. It doesn't say anything concerning Ham being blessed. So that can't be it, right? That's not the reason. Noah was just a jerk. And this is in Genesis, so it's not till Leviticus and Deuteronomy where this guy says that I will punish a person down to the 4th and 5th generation, or to the 10th generation, as it says in, I believe, Deuteronomy. But that's not supposed to have been happening until later, if you look at it in a chronological format. So that doesn't work, where he woke up with $5 in his back pocket. That's what Prince said. So that doesn't work either. So the apologists try to figure out a way as to why Canaan was cursed. The most logical reason why Canaan was cursed is because during the time frame of the writing of this book, the Canaanites were despised. The Canaanite as an overarching group. So this would include the Hittites, the Edomites, the Phoenicians, the Philistines. All of those people, even the Hebrew people, were considered Canaanites, but they were just a different sect of Canaanites. So it's most likely it was written that way in order to talk bad, propaganda against those particular people that the Hebrew Israelite people did not like in the Levant at that time frame. But here's my question. Here's my question. This is what I talked about on the video that I just published like 30 minutes ago, right? Number one, in the entire story, right? At no time frame did the sons of Japheth, the sons of Shem, or the sons of Japheth, become enslave the Canaanite people. There's zero historical documentation, information, pottery, kingdoms where the people of Japheth, the people of Shem and Japheth, were rulers over the people of Canaan. It's not one time frame. Can't name one. Not a one. And even more so, I want you to think about this, even more so. According to this story, the children of Shem are the ones who are, become the line of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, and up to Moses, right? These are the children of Shem. Who became slaves in Egypt, according to this story? Who became the slaves in Egypt, according to this story? I want y'all to write down who became slaves in Egypt during this story. Was it the Canaanites? Was it Cain's kids were Mizraim, which means Egypt? So was it the Egyptians became slaves of themselves? Who became the slaves of the children of Shem, the lineage of Shem and the lineage of Japheth, according to their own story? Right? The so-called Israelites, the children of the children of Shem, the descendants of Shem, according to their own story, became the enslaved of Mizraim, which would mean that the curse that was placed on Canaan for them to become slaves actually went in reverse according to their own story. See, this is one of those thought processes that I had that said this book is not historical facts. This book is falsely generated. It does not tell us about history. It is it's manufacturing a history for a group of people, in the 9th century BCE and 9th and 8th century BCE, that they're just making shit up. Like basically, they're just making it up. So in Egypt, it's the children of Shem who are enslaved. When the Assyrians conquered northern Israel, who did they enslave? They enslaved the Israelites. They enslaved the ones who came from the 12 tribes. They enslaved the children of Shem. When the Babylonians conquered the Judaites, who are the tribe of Judah come from? The tribe of Judah comes from the line of Shem. They were enslaved by the Babylonians. Then they were a puppet state of the Persians, and then the Greeks, and then the Romans. So who were they enslaved to? Who became the slaves in this story? Because the Bible is not talking about Africans. It's not talking about sub-Saharan Africans. It's not talking about West Africans. The Bible is talking about people in that Mediterranean area. It has nothing to do with West Africans. Simplified Devil Dog, Palm Beach County. I've driven through it. Now, I was stationed in Stuttgart, Germany. But where? How does the sub-Saharan African, the West African, play a part in this entire story? They don't. They do not. I challenge anyone who can try to create this falsified idea that Africans are descendants of Ham. They're not. But this Bible, this story was used in order to justify Arab and European slavery. You see, you got to remember the Arabs also believe in this Old Testament. So they justified the trans-Saharan slave trade. The trans-Saharan slave trade was justified by them by talking about this curse of Ham. The Europeans used this curse of Ham to justify the enslavement of the West African. They also used Leviticus 25 to justify enslaving just other nations, period. So it doesn't fit at all. Doesn't fit, not even slightly. If anybody thinks it fits, let me know if you think it fits. And it wasn't Moses who cursed them. It was supposedly, this is Noah doing this cursing. But Noah did Moses did, I think he did try to curse some people. But of course, they're going to claim it by their God as the way they have the power to curse people, which is just slavery. Which is just magic, witchcraft. Right. So how was it? Now, the Mormons, they use the curse of Ham, as well as the ones who didn't fight on either Lucifer's side or Jesus' side before Earth, was populated. So we got people who just based on their own individual racism decided that they were going to use it. What about the old map of Negro land in Africa? What old map is that? I've seen what time frame, what period is this old map of Negro land? You can show me where all anthropological data suggests that people came out of Africa and migrated to the Levant. The people of the Levant did not create the civilizations within Africa. So what map you talking about when you say that? How old was Noah during the flood? Shit, I forgot how old he was. When he supposed to be in like 600 years old or something like that. I can't remember offhand. I don't have an extra device to be able to look it up. So when you look at this, Americans, Europeans, other people use this their religion to justify their slavery. The Muslims try to say that, well, we don't condone slavery. You're supposed to make a way for slaves to buy their freedom. You still condoning slavery. The fact that you are allowed to have the slave but must make a way for the slave to buy his freedom is still you condoning slavery. And so this was used to condone the sub-Saharan trade, the Saharan slave trade. Right? That's what they say about things mostly happening in America. Yeah. And every group tries to utilize it. But I got a big question for you guys. And this is the question that I posed in the video I posted about 30, 40 minutes ago. Right? This is the question. If only the children of, and let's just for a second allow for the Bible to be true. Right? Let's just say it's true. Let's just for shits and giggles. We're gonna say it's true. Only the children from Ham's line were supposed to be slaves, right? So when Julius Caesar conquered Britain and he enslaved the people of Britain and said they were only good for slaves and for the games in the Colosseum, in the arenas, what part of Japheth's line, because most people who believe in this book will say that Japheth children are the ones who become the Europeans, right? What part of that line, which is kind of weird to say that, because wait, let me stop. Let me go back. There are some lines, there are some thought processes that say that Japheth's line became the Europeans, and others say Japheth's line became the people of the Americas. There are others who say because they want the Edomites to be white people, they will then say that Esau's line is the one that became Caucasians. Oh, and TikTok is acting up. They would say Japheth's line is the one that became Caucasian. So if Esau, if Esau's line became Caucasians, then that would mean they came from the line of Shem, right? Europeans came from the line of Shem as well. But I thought it was only Ham's family that became cursed to be slaves. So how did the Britons become slaves to the Romans? How did the Slavic people, which is where we get the term slave from, become slaves? Right? What about the Asian people who then who enslaved each other, whether we're talking about the Japanese enslaving the Chinese, or we're talking about the different warring states with.
Well, we had meatloaf.
Sorry. TikTok messed up, so I'm trying to restart it because it's such a TikTok is such a. I got censored on TikTok. Like my videos will have no sound all of a sudden, and there was no music. All right, so where did all these other tribes become slaves? And even in how did the Dahomey, which if you go by this book, the Dahomey came from Ham's line, but they enslaved the Vyuda tribe. That's people who look like the same people slaving the same people, right? So every place in the world has had some form of slavery, right? Everybody has had some form of slavery. But you know who has never enslaved somebody else? according to their story and according to archaeological history, the Israelites and the Hebrews, they may have conquered people. They did have their little puppet kingdoms. They enslaved some of their own people. They bought slaves from other tribes and things of that nature. But enslaving an entire culture, entire countries, no. The line of Shem has never enslaved on a scale that on the same scale that the Romans and the Greeks and the Egyptians and some African nations, some America, the Aztecs and the Mayans, the Japanese, they've never enslaved to that degree. So this Bible is a straight up lie because there has never been the enslavement of these people. Okay, we got a couple of people who want to get on from TikTok. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Oh, I need y'all to turn that off. Oh no, no, nope, 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 nope. This is my bad, my bad. Who are you people? This is what I get for pressing buttons. Okay. I might need to learn how to do this. Okay, I did something. I'm sorry about that. I don't like TikTok, y'all. Just to let y'all know. Ooh, my bad. My bad, my bad, my bad. So, I do like to have people come up. All right, King of Judah, would you like to come up? King of Judah. Let me get the link. Yeah, if somebody think that they can explain this and make this make any sense, let me know if you want to come up. All right, Jay says the curse was on Canaan, not Ham. No, we said that. I never said the curse was on Ham. It's just commonly referred to as the curse of Ham, right? So it was on Canaan. We know that. I've said that the whole time. So you haven't exposed anything because you merely just said what I said. It's just commonly called the curse of Ham. It is not a curse on Ham, which is an asshole jerk move to curse the grandchild instead of cursing the one who supposedly committed the wrong, committed the offense. Why would you curse the other person? Why would you curse the child? So maybe you missed that part, Jay. But yeah, you probably just missed that part. So I'm gonna think that you missed it. Oh, my bad. I'm trying to press a thing and people keep moving. It keeps moving. All right. I did a video about this today, also a bed, where although Christianity can be a comfort to some people, it is very dangerous to most people and is damaging to most people. Well, I'm thinking that according to the story, he cursed him when he woke up that morning. So he slept it off. King Judah, if you would like to come on here and express it, your opinion, your thought, you are more than welcome. But according to this story, and I know he's using it, this is one of those other excuses that people like to use. God never cursed Canaan. Noah is the one who cursed Canaan. So this book is supposed to be the inspired word. And this is how people can nitpick the hell out of this book. They can nitpick it by saying that, oh, well, Moses said this or Noah said that and David said that. That wasn't God. But the entire book is supposed to be the inspired word of your God. You're supposed to follow what this book says. If that's the case, then you can say that, well, Moses wrote down the commandments. Moses gave the decrees. It wasn't God. For anything that you don't like, you can always just blame it on an individual in the book instead of blaming it on your God. But there's enough shit that this God supposedly specifically said himself that is jacked up within itself. All right, Jay Zell, we will spend some time in Houston. I got a family member there and a couple other people I know. Actually, I'm going there to do a podcast with a guy in Houston in early November. So I'll let you. I'll post when I'm in Houston. But yeah, that's a lame excuse, King of Judah. That's a lame excuse to try to say that, oh, Noah did it, not God. Because if that's the case, you can cherry pick your Bible all day long. But who killed all the people on the planet? Who killed the little innocent babies that was walking around on the planet during the time frame of Noah, according to your story? Did Noah kill them, or did your guy kill them? Little person over in Central America, minding their own business, living their life, being a good person, and all of a sudden they get killed and flooded by a God that they never heard of. That's how insane that story is. That's how insane it is. People who had no idea, had nothing to do with Ham seeing his daddy's nakedness, supposedly went into slavery because of what somebody did 10, 15, 20 generations ago. That makes no sense whatsoever. That is a narcissistic evil God that would do some shit like that. So that makes no sense. So you cannot try that. That's a weak excuse. That's a weak excuse. And there is no excuse for this guy choosing the when you can't backdate it and say that, well, the Canaanites wind up worshiping this other God, and that's why the Canaanites, the king Canaan was cursed instead of Ham, because the Canaanites worship Yahweh, the storm deity. Well, actually, they worship El first, El and his wife Asherah, Elion, and then that becomes Yahweh, and he marries Asherah, and so because they were worshiping other deities, that's why, because he pre-knew that they was going to do that. Well, he pre-knew that the Aztecs was going to worship Quetzalcoatl. Why weren't they enslaved? He pre-knew that my ancestors was going to worship Oya and Oshun and Eshu. What about them? He pre-knew that the Japanese was going to go into Shinto. Why didn't he curse them too? Why he only cursed the people involved in that small little tiny ass area of land, as if this guy had no idea what's going on in the rest of the world? It's a lame excuse. It's lame. It's lame. It holds no water unless you just presuppose that this God is the real God. King of Judah, you can come on right now. You can come on right now. I don't do one-on-one conversations with people. You gotta understand. I get people sending me their phone numbers like every day and all that. You think I got that much time? No, I'm not spending my time doing that. And I've offered it to you, but you don't want to accept it, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You see, they be having big shit to say in the comments, right? But then they don't want to come up and talk about it. It's funny to me. If okay, and see, this is the kind of stuff. Wait, now maybe the timing is not good because you're working, you're doing something like that. I can understand that, but the next time, so you can be ready. I don't know when the next time I'm coming live. I know that I'm moving. I'm moving Thursday, so I probably won't go live again until I get to San Antonio. So probably won't be till next Monday or Tuesday before I go live again. But you can be well versed in this Bible. You can be very well versed in this Bible. Highly skilled in the scriptures, as King of Judah said. That don't make you right. That doesn't make the Bible true. Not at all. Not at all. Devin Bailey, you want to come up? Now, this is for Devin. Unless I tell you to come up, don't come up. Don't try to click on the button. This is only for Devin. because you cannot make this make sense, and it doesn't pan itself out historically at all. If we gave credibility to this book and said that these are the children, that we are the children of Canaan, of Ham, it still doesn't make any sense. It still doesn't work. Not even slightly. It's still an asshole move. And this is a typical move. It's all the pyramid stuff. It's all occult stuff. The Hebrew Bible, the Torah, the Talmud, all of that is occult. It's an occult book. It's cultish. You got people believing in stuff simply because somebody else taught you to believe in it. It's all a cult. Christianity started as a cult. Judaism started as a cult. The Israelites, the whole tradition started as a cult that they borrowed from other Canaanites. It's all a cult. Every religious system on the planet started out as a cult. Appreciate that, Sean. But all of it started as a cult. Coach, when you move, will we lose you? Oh no, no. I'm just when we start packing the truck on Thursday, and then we take that 4-day drive to San Antonio, I'll make some videos periodic while I'm traveling, but I probably won't do a live. I'm sure of that probably won't happen. You know, I don't even have, my background is just all white stuff because Angelina took everything down already, and then we got to set up the new house. And so when people believe in these books, they believe in these stories, they believe in this curse of Ham and all this kind of stuff, and that the children of Canaan were cursed, and that you can make slaves of people who are foreigners, and all that stuff. Then all you're doing is believing in what somebody else wrote 100 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago. You can't, and 99% of the stuff written in these books cannot be verified one way or the other. They can't be proven that they happened at all, right? You can't prove Yahweh exists. You can't. You can't prove that Yahweh flooded the planet. Yahweh didn't flood the whole planet. It's a scientific impossibility for this entire planet to be flooded. You can't prove that the children of Ham became the people of Africa. You can't prove it. No way whatsoever. Cannot be proven. It's impossible. It's impossible. You can't prove none of these guys. You can't prove Yahweh. You can't prove Jehovah. You can't prove Baal. You can't prove Shamash. You can't prove Ra. You can't prove Ashar, Aset, Quetzalcoatl, Enlil, Enki. You can't prove none of them. None of them can be proven. Not one of them. So until you can prove it, and you can't even prove the acts to which they claim to have done. Yes, angry black man, I've studied Gnosticism. Actually, I did a video today where I talked about one of the steps of deconstructing that I personally went through was becoming a Gnostic Christian for a while, following the teachings of Gnosticism. Oh, King of Judah. What's God's name? What is God's name? Since because it don't matter. It doesn't matter. As the Tao says, a God that can be named is no longer God. A God that can be put in a book is no longer God. The moment you put it in a book, the moment you give it a name, it ceases to be God, because all it can be is whatever the name is, whatever the book says it is. So that's all your God can ever be. But if a God is truly a infinite God, then that God is unknowable and unexplainable. It cannot be named. It cannot be known. It cannot be explained. If it can be put into categories, it is no longer a God. It is just the reflection that man have within himself, reflecting outward in creating whatever God you are claiming to be. You're claiming to worship, rather. That's all God is, a reflection of yourself. And this is why people believe in these gods, because what they've done now is you've been indoctrinated into the belief of some God. And because of your indoctrinated belief, you then reflect that out and make it your God and make it real. But it's not real. It's not a God. You can't do it. Thank you for hearting it up on TikTok. Because matter of fact, if y'all don't heart it up on TikTok, when the Christian trolls come in, they'll try to shut it down. Right? I can like he'll say, his name is Slim Shady. Your God can be anything. You can make God whatever you want God to be, because you're just reflecting self. You're just reflecting self. If you were born in Saudi Arabia, then you would be Muslim, right? If you was born in Tibet, you would be Buddhist most likely. If you was born in India, you're either Brahmin or you're Muslim, right? How did the people of India who were Brahmin all of a sudden become Muslim? It wasn't because until this big huge Muslim influence through conquering that you got a lot of Muslims into India. How did how did my ancestors become Christians? At the hand of a whip, when they were forced to come to America, and they became Christian and have been Christian ever since. Nobody's born believing in a God. You're born, literally, you're born atheist, right? You're born atheist because you don't believe in any God. You're then taught about a God. You're surrounded by communities that talks about a God. So you may not have had it in your house, but you go down the street, there's a church. You go down the street, there's a temple. Everywhere you go, there's a church, there's a temple, there's a church, there's a temple. There go TikTok freezing again. But everywhere you go, there's church, there's temple, there's church, there's temple, there's mosque. And so you develop this sense about you of some type of deity. President comes on, we're gonna pray for the people and pray to whatever God you believe in, but pray for the people in Florida, pray for the people here. Your subconscious is indoctrinated without you even recognizing it. And then you go through some shit in life. After you go through the shit in life, you start believing that what helps you come out of it is this God deity that you have been either directly indoctrinated into believing, or this God deity that you subconsciously been indoctrinated into. Yes, and then they get into my God is better than your God. Definitely. I posted a video earlier with a Christian and a Muslim arguing, and in my opinion, they both lost the debate. I don't know why TikTok keep tripping, y'all. I'm so sick of damn TikTok. I'm so I'm so sick of it. But God has never been God. If there is a God, if there is a God, that God created none of these religions. That is not the God of any of these religions that are out there. Not one religion out there can tell you what God is, because man created God in his own image. Yep, Obed. I just saw it, Obed. So we on the same line. He created in his own image. So when you got these stories about Noah, where they're just trying to they're just retelling the Epic of Gilgamesh. They're retelling the Atrahasis, which those stories were written 3,000 years after the event supposedly happened. They're just retelling of the Younger Dryas flood is all they're doing. They're just retelling the Younger Dryas and the restart of civilization about 12,000 years ago. That's all they're talking about. And so because they lack the scientific knowledge to understand what happened with the last ice age and then the Younger Dryas freeze and the Younger Dryas flood, because they lack the scientific knowledge, they created God mythos, right? Oh, somebody said something about Younger Dryas. The Younger Dryas impact hypothesis is a theory that a comet or meteor hit the exploded over North America about 12,900 years ago, kind of climate change. Well, we're not sure. We know that the Younger Dryas happened. The Younger Dryas freeze happened. The Younger Dryas flood happened. Not exactly sure as to what caused it. Caused either the deep freeze nor the quick and rapid um, defrosting. I personally think that it might have just been some massive solar activity, but we don't know exactly what. None of the geological record or the core fragment records can demonstrate exactly what caused the rapid um, thawing of the last ice age around 12,000 plus years ago. So that's still something that's unknown, but we know the freeze happened, we know the flood happened. And all these flood stories, which are all coastal stories, if you look at the societies that dwelled inland, like the Chinese culture, there's no worldwide flood. There's river floods, there's massive river floods, but there's no worldwide flood. So only coastal and island civilizations have a flood narrative which fits into the Younger Dryas, right? So they have that story, but it's impossible. There's not enough water on the planet to cover the whole planet anyway. It doesn't work. So most of these are just localized floods or the Younger Dryas flood. So it doesn't happen. And then in order to figure out why the line of Shem has to be the one followed, oh, well, let's curse Canaan and Ham, and he messed up, and Japheth's people became seafarers and started worshiping other deities. So to hell with them, and just we're gonna focus on Shem's line because that's the line that we came through, and we're gonna go make that our royalty. You know, it's a bunch of BS. It's a bunch of BS. And Devin, I like what you said. Have you ever seen a cat fight another cat because the fur color was different? Wolves fight each other because the other color is different. That's what it boils down to. People have enslaved people throughout history because of war over resources, and in more recent centuries, well, millennials, war over religions. But war over resources has been the main reason why enslavement has ever happened. The Dahomey didn't enslave the Wayuda because they just felt like some religious purpose of doing so. They were enslaved because they wanted their resources and they wanted to use them as resources to buy guns. So they enslaved them. They didn't understand fully what they were doing as far as selling them to the Portuguese and the Dutch, but they weren't reading the Bible and saying that, oh, we can enslave another nation because Leviticus 25 says so. That's not why. Ooh, what's up, Donald? Oh, hey. But that's not why. That's not why. It's resources. Man has always done it. And then man creates his own justifications. If you look at, so go research in and around, because I know I've done a bunch of videos on it. But when you look at around the mid 1500s, you have two papal bulls. The most notable one is by Pope Nicholas IV. Pope Nicholas IV was trying to get Spain and Portugal to help fight the Crusades. But Spain and Portugal were fighting over the Canary Islands and some of the Mali area of Western Africa. In order to stop them from fighting, he issued a papal bull. If you find people in these lands who are not Christians, because the people in the Canary Islands, some of them have been converted over to Christianity, you must enslave them and make them your property, and you can sell them to anybody and keep and pass them down for generations. By settling the dispute between Portugal and Spain, Pope Nicholas then got them to help fight in the Crusades at one of the last Crusades at that time frame. So it was a papal bull that instituted the transatlantic slavery, which initially it was a trans-European slavery. They were bringing them up to Europe, bringing them up to Italy, to Spain, Portugal, up into England. Initially, they was bringing them there. And then as they start colonizing in America, then they started bringing the slaves over there, which is why you don't get those first slaves until about 1619. But the first African slaves till 1619. But that's when they first start enslaving. That was over resources and to fight a war. Had nothing to do with the Bible in itself, but the Bible was then used in order to justify it. And then that is also when racism or race became the more dominant thing than tribalism or nationalism. That's when race became a thing, because then they convinced the poorest white person that you are white, and so we're right. And then, oh, it's Pope Nicholas the Fifth. Thank you. I thought it was the fourth. You sure it's not the fourth, Sheila? Look it up for me real quick. I thought for some, and I know the other pope was like Pope Clement, and one of them numbers, I think the 9th or 10th, who had did it like about a decade or so, about 20, 30 years before him, had did something similar. But you got these racism and war and slavery all happened because man wanted resources, right? But back to the story here of Ham and this curse. Noah drunk, he embarrassed. He the one did wrong because he got drunk. He's not supposed to become a drunk, but he curses his grandson. And then the Bible, Bible God contradicts himself. First, he says 2 times in Leviticus and in Deuteronomy that he's going to curse people down to the 10th, 5th generation, that the sins of the father are cast down to the son. And then later on, I believe in Ezekiel or Isaiah, but I believe it's Ezekiel, when he then says that, oh, no longer will the sons be held accountable for the sins of the father. I thought this guy don't change, but evidently he changed his mind. And changing your mind is what changes you. So, I mean, this Noah story makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. None. It just shows how much of a jerk Noah was to his grandchild. Can you imagine Canaan sitting there minding his own business, probably doing some farming, maybe some animal husbandry, and all of a sudden he get told that, hey, you and your descendants are going to be slaves to your cousin now for the rest of your life. Y'all going to be the slaves. Y'all going to be the lowest ones. But then yet, according to this story, his child Mizraim becomes the empire of Egypt that we know today as Egypt. And they enslave, so-called, according to the story, they enslave the Israelites, the Hebrews. You can almost see Canaan sitting there telling his kids, man, look, I know y'all been cursed, but to hell with that bullshit. This is what we're going to do. We're going to build the Cushite nation. We're going to build the Ethiopian nation, the Axiom. We're going to build up the Sudanese. We're going to build Egypt, become dominant, and then we're going to enslave their ass. So don't y'all forget. Yeah, Joseph might have been all right for a little while, but remember in the story, say the Pharaoh started to forget about Joseph. We're going to enslave them fools, because I'll be damned. Fuck great-great-great-granddaddy. Great-great-great-granddaddy Noah can kiss my ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, who gonna sit up there and willingly go for this? Oh, well, you know what? The mental psychology that you can have on people when they are enslaved is to make them think that they deserve to be slaves. Is that not what happens with the Bible and the Quran? Is that it's written in such a way to make people who are enslaved think that they are supposed to be enslaved? They're supposed to be slaves. So when the master beats the slave and the slave is able to rise in a few days, well, hey, that's what God said. That's what God said. Matter of fact, and Jesus and Paul, they was like, slaves, obey your masters as you would Jesus. Whether your master is good or bad, be good to him. Master, we got a good master here, Well, it does say of the foreign nations, you can make slaves of them and have them in perpetuity. And if it is a person of your own tribe, and you give them a wife and they have children, but they love their wife and child so much that they want to stay with their wife and child, you pin their ass to a post and put an awl through their left ear, and now they your slaves forever, even if they're someone of your own tribe. This book has a wicked ass way of getting people to stay slaves, to stay slaves. And by saying that these, well, Joseph Smith was like, hey, not only are the people on the planet cursed with dark skin, the ones who didn't choose to fight with Jesus or Lucifer, but also they doubled down on the curse of Cain and they doubled down on the curse of Ham. They actually used all three to say that the mark of Cain was the dark skin and the curse of Ham was the dark skin. And that's why the black people, it was all right for them to be slaves in the Americas and then for them to be under Jim Crow laws in America, because God has decreed them, because they set out of the fight and then they did the first murder, and then their daddy saw Noah butt ass naked. And there's millions of people who walk around as Mormons believing that shit. Now they're starting to come out of it because Jimmy Carter threatened to take their 501c3 away in the 19. If you don't know why the Mormons started changing it in the 70s, is because Jimmy Carter said, I'm gonna take your 501c away if you don't allow black people to become priests. And then over time they start changing their teaching. They didn't literally change it until like 2014 is when they finally just changed that teaching. So people have used this. This is why the Bible is one of the most damaging pieces of fiction that has ever been written, is because it has created the greatest travesties in mankind. It has. It's created the greatest tragedies in mankind. You even have a crusade where they sent children, and the Arabs said, "Oh, y'all sending children? We're gonna make these motherfuckers slaves." That's exactly what they did. They made them slaves. That's it. And then what kings use the Bible to kill the people or oppress the people. The English, and this is what going back to the other part, the English used the Bible to enslave the Scottish and the Irish. And although the Scottish and the Irish may not have to deal with the after effects of that in America, I spent some time in Scotland and Ireland, and you can still see some of the effects of the English enslavement of those two nations. So in the same way that you see some issues in America with black people, you get the same thing in England with the Scottish and the Irish. Like they are not treated equally in England, right? They are not treated equally in the whole British Isles. And that is a holdover from them enslaving those people. So this slavery thing affects people long term. The reason why it affects Black Americans to the degree that it does is because we were brought to a foreign land, whereas um, the Scottish and the Irish got their land back. The people in Africa, they're getting they got their land back. They're getting their nationhood back. You know, so it's different. It's different. It's a whole different situation. Right, Sean. Hence the IRA. Hence the IRA, because of the unfair treatment. So this thing is, oftentimes I get people who only can see through an American worldview. Like people can only see things through an American worldview. They can't see it through a true worldview. But when you look at a true worldview, utilizing the Bible and the Quran, those two books and the Torah, would just all of them together, all the Abrahamics, utilizing the Abrahamics, it has caused more uh, stress on people, destruction of communities than anything else. Anything else. And then if your family is indigenous to America, they genocided your family and they stole your family's land, and then they put you on some stank ass reservations and made you think that they was giving you something. The American government has broken more treaties with indigenous people than they have broken with any other country in the world. Any other country in the world. You know, if you want to see some jacked up stuff, go to a Native American reservation, and you will see how even though they have some authority on their own land, they are still held by the United States government, and they still get treated like trash. Still get treated like trash. And now, do not think that I am like, oh, the poor indigenous people. I know it's Indigenous People Day. Even though I do have a very few members of my family members in my lineage that are indigenous to America, very few. Them fuckers still held African slaves. So, and although we have Juneteenth, when Juneteenth happened in Texas, in Galveston, Texas, on June 19th, it took almost a full year to June 14th before the last African slaves were released in, I believe it was Creek. I mean, no, the Choctaw, the Chickasaw and the Choctaw were the last ones to release their slaves almost a full year after. And it wasn't because, and that was because of the 14th Amendment. Oh, this TikTok is driving me. I can't stand TikTok. You know, I can watch somebody else's live on TikTok for hours. This shit never freezes. My TikTok always freezes. But anyway, no problem. So I don't, when people get all like caught up into like, oh, and look, you got your own shit to deal with. I got my own shit to deal with. Y'all ain't trying to help me. Y'all ain't, benefit to me. When did the Cherokee Nation side up with the black people? I ain't seen it. When did the Choctaw do so? Them motherfuckers, they bought slaves the same way. They bought slaves. And I know some of them bought slaves because they were, their people have been decimated. So some Native American women bought African slaves just to have as a husband. But they don't get a pass. They don't get a pass from me for that bullshit. I ain't giving you a pass for it. Oh yeah, this is some bullshit. That book had me not worried about getting money because I was taught that it's easy for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to go into heaven. Such a deception. It sure as hell would. You know, I've told the story many times, but the first time I went to Israel, and we're going through this Muslim market in Jerusalem, and then when we come to this one point, we had a Czechoslovakian who was our tour, which I know most people in the Czech Republic don't exist anymore. But we had this Czechoslovakian who was like, and now we're going through the eye of a needle. And I'm looking at this big ass gateway. And I just saw a camel like a week or two ago because it stepped on my tent while I was sleeping in Oman. And I'm looking like a camel could easily walk through this damn thing. But I was plagued by that mindset as well of what an eye of a needle was and for rich people. But because I damn sure don't want to be poor. What'd you say right here? I like the point you said about the Bible never banned slavery, but it was written today as if it was. Yeah, it does. And it never banned slavery. It okayed slavery. They're ruthless. Our Aboriginal people were slaves. Only some. Initially, when the Europeans got here, they did enslave some of the indigenous people, but they found it harder to enslave them. They couldn't sustain the European diseases that they came with. Which is normal, it's natural. When Europeans first went to Africa, there were issues with diseases. If a community hadn't been exposed to a disease, then usually a plague breaks out. But it was also easier for the indigenous people to escape and hide and be away. But I couldn't hide. In 1576, I couldn't hide in America. They were people of color, but they weren't this color. And like I said, I only have a few relatives who were native. Wendy said that she's native and she don't know about women being black husbands, but I see why, because really all shades can look delicious. Okay, so some of the tribes who bought African slaves are your Seminoles. But some of the Seminoles didn't buy as many initially. I mean, after later on, because the black people helped fight the Seminole Wars. But your Cherokee, your Choctaw, your Chickasaw, your Creek, they bought a lot of slaves. They bought a lot of slaves because they part of the deal of the five civilized tribes was that they had to adopt European mannerisms, European dress, and European thought processes and the religion. They had to adopt the European religion. And one of the things that was adopted was buying African slaves. And then, but because their community has been decimated, they also, some of the women bought slaves for husbands. But it is very well documented. So sometimes when I see a black person like, oh yeah, my family was Choctaw, I'm like, yeah, your family was probably a slave to a Choctaw. Wasn't like they were just naturally born Choctaw. It was a slave to them, you know. And you had some of them, and matter of fact, you had whole Choctaw and Cherokee and Creek regiments that fought for the Confederacy because they wanted to keep their slaves. And then, of course, they had slaves if the United States government had to force them in 1866, June 14th, to give up those slaves. So, yes, they had slaves. See, that's people sometimes don't marry up history with their teachings or what they believe or what they've been taught, you know. And so they don't like that. It was a brother I used to talk to him, used to deal with him. He was all about we were already here, we were already here. And I'm like, okay, explain to me why those tribes had to give up their slaves and they were the last bastion of slavery in America. Why they had to give it up. Break it down to me. Break it down to me, all the documentation of them owning slaves. These five civilized tribes owning African slaves. You see it on different census, you see it on different bureaus. Come on, break it down to me. You gotta be able to do it. And that's just I want to ignore it. You just choose to ignore that fact. And I don't ignore any fact. So if it's a fact, it is. And I just accept it as a fact. Whether I like it or not, doesn't matter. Yeah. But it's worth researching, Wendy. I would just check it out. It's worth researching. Uh, so those native women were doing the Diddy. Y'all stupid. Can't deal with y'all sometimes. Ah, what's my man here? The God of Israel is coming for you, and when he does, you won't be able to stop him. I hope you are in the cult realize this. All right, strike me down right now. Come on, God of Israel, strike me down. I have challenged your God of Israel to strike me down for over 30 years, and he ain't done shit. Well, over 30, almost 30 years. He ain't done a damn thing. Not a damn thing. I've prospered like a big dog. Oh my God, my God, my God. But where are the slave ships? Another deflection. So I did a video a couple months ago called Asking That Question is Dumb. So let's break it down. And let me use this as an example. So in and around the 1920s, 1930s, the primary way that Americans traveled across this country was on train passenger cars was the main thing that they used. But with the advent of the automobile and the U.S. highway system in the 1950s, traveling by train became less and less useful. So did they destroy the trains that was used for carrying passengers? No. No, they didn't, did they? No. They rearranged their business and went back to focusing just primarily on cargo instead of people passengers. So if you were running a slave ship in 1804, and then in 1806, 1808, somewhere around in that time, America said that we will no longer allow for slaves to be brought over, then you don't just say, well, might as well just sink the damn ship. Can't use it for slaves no more. Wow, well, they still taking slaves down in Brazil. So we get around about 1830 something when slavery ends in Brazil, now there's no more transatlantic slave trade. Let's just sink the damn ship. No purpose for them. I mean, what else could we put in here? Could we put cargo of products like corn and cotton and ship it to the America from the Americas to Europe? Could we go and get some spices and shit like that from India? Maybe we can repurpose these ships and use them as cargo ships, since moving slaves was cargo as well. And then the lifespan of a ship, those types of wooden ships, is not going to, like, the ship's going to last for hundreds of years. Them ships only going to last about 50, 60 years. I mean, you can replace parts and try to fix them, but come on now. That's a dumbass question. That's dumb. That don't make no sense. I mean, I guess Wells Fargo should have just went out of business when they stopped being a delivery service of products and goods. When they stopped, doing that. Who are they to become a bank? That's like saying, well, where is all their wagons and horses that Wells Fargo had when they were transporting goods around America, and they were the UPS of the day? They're a bank now. They changed their business. I mean, come on, people. That's why I did that video and said that asking where are the slave ship is dumb as hell. It's fucking dumb. It's stupid. And I mean to cuss. Because I can't believe people are so dense as to think that that is a talking point. That is not a talking point. And yes, my guy here, there's a slave ship in the African Museum. And, they did find a slave ship off the coast of, like, Ivory Coast or somewhere like that, one that sunk. And, of course, there's the Cotida. Come on, man. Don't ask that question. You said agreed? Okay. You got me all riled up, though, because I hate that question. Got me all riled up. So, woosah. Woosah. Oh, man. Oh, man. All right. Now, I know that question was different from the other questions, but we can talk about, I'm going to give you guys we're going to spend about another hour. And then, of course, it's Angelina time. So, what else do we want to talk about tonight? I'm mad. I'm mad that nobody wanted to come on here with me. Y'all disappoint me. Y'all hurt my feelings. I look at everybody else live and everybody want to come on there and talk to them and stuff, but nobody ever wants to talk to me. I'm breathing, Wendy. I'm breathing, Sean. Now, I hope that if I understand you right, Saze, please, I hope I'm saying your name right. I hate when people say, I don't like to say people's name wrong. Blacks were the first black peoples. Europeans were. If we're talking about slavery, then you're absolutely right. People don't realize that it's most in most every culture, people enslaved other people that looked like them first. Before they started enslaving other people, they enslaved other people based on different tribes. Now the Romans were like, hey, you Britons or you Germanian, I'm going to enslave you. The Romans were big on enslaving people once they conquered them and spreading them out throughout the empire. When Titus conquered Judea, he then sent the Jews all throughout the Mediterranean. And that is why they have the Jewish diaspora, because they sent them out because of what Titus did in 78 and 70 CE. So people have always enslaved other people, and it was generally just based on nationality or tribe. It is not until the 1500s that we start getting enslavement based on race. Even when the Arabs started their trans-Sahara slave trade, you could go from being a slave to becoming a member of them. And then this is where we get the Moors. But the Moors were not all Arabs, and they weren't all black. They also were white Moors. So when I see black people talking, we're Moors, I'm like, do you realize that to be Moorish is more of a people group of mixture, Arabs, blacks, Europeans. It's a whole big damn group of them. And then how can we be Moors if there was no such thing as a Moor until around, 700 CE? I know my ancestors were around before 700 CE. I don't know about yours. Right. Allah is Lucifer. Shit, Yahweh is you. If Allah is Lucifer, then that would make Yahweh, Jehovah, the God of the Old Testament, that make him Lucifer as well. But Lucifer, okay, let me square you up on this. Lucifer is not the devil. Lucifer, Satan, the serpent, not the same. Lucifer is only mentioned twice in your book. It's mentioned once when it's talking about the king of Tyre and talking about the king of Tyre. It's not talking about some being. And it's in reference to the planet Venus as how it looks when it falls out of the sky during sunrise. So it's an astrological event. In the Revelations, Jesus is referred to as Lucifer, the morning star, the light bringer. So because that's what it means. It is not a being. It's just that the early Roman church melded those together because people were asking the question, well, who's the devil? Who's Lucifer? Who's the serpent? Who's the Satan? And they melded them all together. But they're not. If religious people, this is why, like, religious people don't study their own book beyond what somebody has told them in a pulpit. That's it. What somebody has told you in a pulpit, in a mosque or a temple or whatever, that is as much as most people who believe in this book know, right? And they have no idea of what the hell they're talking about. None whatsoever. Oh, I see what you're saying. And you're right. The first slaves from Africa were Berbers, right? Because Portugal and Spain were taking these slaves from North Africa initially. And their biggest fight was the people at the Canary Islands, but they were taking them from North Africa. And then after they got the papal bull from Pope Nicholas, then they started moving further and further south and enslaving more and more West Africans. So yeah, it's craziness. May I come on? Yeah, because I want to say your name right. Hold on, Donathan. This is for Donathan. Click on the link, Donathan, when you see it for whichever you're on, Facebook or YouTube. I didn't see which one you were on. Yeah, I always found that interesting. The Bible uses astronomy, even though the astronomy is meant to be against God. The Bible like to use astronomy that favors it. If you're the person who does divinations, if you're doing it for that God, it's okay. But if you're doing it for any other belief, it's satanic. That makes no sense. That makes no sense whatsoever. That's just confirmation bias. That's just you deciding on what you want to believe, your version of it, and that's it. All right, we're gonna bring Donovan on. I hope I'm probably saying his name wrong. What's up, sir?
How you doing? Donnie is fine.
Hi. Oh, Donnie.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I just talked to you.
Uh-huh.
I didn't catch the name.
How you doing?
All right. So just for introduction's sake, Donnie, we just did a conversation interview a couple of days ago. It'll be posting soon. We got to finish it. I forgot about
Yes.
today, so my apologies.
All good.
I had to go see all my auntie girlfriends before we
Mm-hmm.
depart from North Carolina. All of Angelina's aunties,
Yeah, yeah.
they all
Plus
went
you're
there.
busy. You're busy. You said you're moving soon, so that's work.
Yeah, it is. What you got, my brother?
Okay. Something I thought about a month ago is the phrase. I was going to talk about this the next time we talk too, but the phrase "Won't he do it?" That's I thought
Okay.
about that. I thought about that phrase. Like it just popped in my head. Like, won't he do it? Like, wait a minute, won't he do it? Yeah, that's what I've been saying the whole time. won't he do it? He will not do it. Like that's what the word won't mean.
Oh,
Like I've been saying that the whole time. Like yeah, that's what I talk about. Yeah, he won't do it. It's you doing all the won't he won't do or will do. It's your in my thoughts, it's your imagination. Like all
right.
of this, all of religion is your imagination. No matter
Well,
what religion it is. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
you know they're going to use that and say that it is in the framework of how we use slang.
Yeah, yeah, because no matter it depends on if the word want is the
Mm-hmm.
first word or the second or third word, how you say
Right.
it. So
Uh-huh.
won't he do it is not the same as he will not do it. But that's what the word want means, is how we intake it. But it's all the same thing. The word want, it's still the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. He will not do it. So everybody who's preaching, oh, won't he do it? Yes. Yes, he will not do it. It's all you doing it if you choose to partake the exercises into doing it.
Yeah. And the thing I hate the most about that phraseology is the fact that you are only saying this after the fact, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
It's never something that happens beforehand. Because if a person said, I'm gonna buy a house, won't he do it? And they never get the house, you just prove that he will not do it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because but it's after you get the house, won't he do it?
He
Well, it's
still
been
didn't
done.
do it.
Now,
Yeah,
it ain't got nothing to do with you making sure your credit right. It ain't got nothing to do with you if you got to have a down payment on that house. It ain't got nothing
uh-huh.
to do with you controlling your debt to income ratio. And it ain't got nothing to do with you signing them damn papers. It ain't got nothing to do with the
Hmm.
fact that you found a house that a person was selling that you wanted to buy. It had nothing to do with those things. It's
It
all
did have
something else.
it did have a little bit to do with him giving you the will to do so. I get. I'm just making fun.
How can he give you the will to do so if you got free will?
Hey, because I say I was just playing. I was just making fun of it. But yes, yes, but he does like to do his thing where he tampers with free will. So
All the time.
exactly.
According to the storybook, according to the comic book of the Bible, this guy he messes with people's free will on a constant basis. If people don't want to do something, he's gonna
All the
force them to do it.
time.
Whether he force it through
All the
the
time.
hardening of Pharaoh's heart, or if he forces
Mm-hmm.
it through Jonah being swallowed up by a whale. Well, first causing a storm, then swallowed by a whale, and then spitting him up on the water. He gonna
Mm-hmm.
force you to do whatever you don't want to do, right?
He makes you do it. He makes you think that you're making the choice that you're making.
And you're not, and he's not. He's not making any decisions whatsoever. This is just people doing whatever they want to do, and being able to say
Hmm.
that this it is within this God's will that I can do what I want to do.
Yep, yep.
Beyond that,
We we
it's
do a lot.
people use religion as a scapegoat in order for them
Hmm.
to facilitate whatever bullshit
Hmm.
in life that they actually want to do or want to stop other people from doing.
Yep,
I don't know
yep,
if you
yep.
saw the video I did yesterday where the lady was saying that oral sex is a sin. Just because don't nobody want to do it to her.
Exactly. That's the first thing that just popped in my head when you just said it. Now, ain't nobody boinking you. That's all.
Yeah, that's it.
Or at
That's
least ain't
it.
nobody have the desire to boink you. So I think that's probably hurt more. The
Right.
desire to want to boink the person to have sex with her or whoever said it.
And then to me, how can you sit up there and say oral sex is a sin when if you read the Songs of Solomon, they talking about going down on each other and all over each other's body because it
Hmm.
uses metaphors as her breast being mountain peaks and all that kind of stuff and going into the forest and all this shit. It's a very sexy book.
Yeah, the
It's a sexy read.
Bible and a lot of other scriptures or lost scriptures is extremely sexual. way more than what people want to believe in, or just want to, yeah, just want to believe. Like, it's
Yeah.
extremely sexual.
And because America is such a sexually restrained country based on this Puritan heritage from the Puritans and the Pilgrims who came from England, that mindset has been a part of American thought process. When I lived in Germany, it was weird at first, but I didn't recognize that I was living in a country that wasn't over sexualized. You know, that
Yeah.
people there had a more of a balance between sex than people in America. You know, they still had their pornography, they had their red light districts and all that sort of thing. But
Hmm.
to the culture that you dealt with there, a man meeting a woman was more about just getting to know each other than I want to see if your booty clap.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like literally, the city I lived in was about the size of Atlanta, right? Stuttgart, Germany. But where Atlanta had, when I left Atlanta, it had like 10, 12 strip joints. Stuttgart had one because it wasn't this overindulgence of sexual energy that they had going on, you
Hmm.
know. But they also were more secular than America. They weren't hell bent on forcing this Bible down people's throat. Like I never had anybody knocking on my door. I never had anybody coming up asking me if I believe in Jesus. There was never anybody on the street preaching or handing out pamphlets or any of those things. It was you be whoever you want to be, believe whatever you want to believe. It wasn't
Yeah.
all this pressure of a religion.
Yeah. I just think it's, I, I just think it's a lot of craziness. Like I mentioned in the comments, is that I think religion is the cornerstone of humanity's psychological issues. And that being said, it's like it's like it's almost insane that you will willingly choose to follow somebody that requires murder in order for you to prevail.
Right?
Like that's crazy. Like, even if you do consider yourself a good person, why would you want to follow somebody or believe in somebody? Let's just say he is real. Let's just say God is real, and like, you believe that he is real, but believing in him, like, he could be
Right?
standing right here, but believing in him to be what he claims, that's just insane to want to follow somebody like that and still consider yourself a good person.
Yeah. It's wrapped in it's made like rat poison. Rat poison is 90% cookie and 10% poison. So they wrap this, these books are wrapped in the idea that this God is love, this God is justice, this God is caring, this God has the best plans for you, and all those sorts of things. But as you dig deep into it, you realize that there is poison at the center of this, and that this
Hmm.
God is narcissistic, this God is human sacrificing, this God is endorses slavery, he disrespects the shit out of women. Women don't have rights,
Oh,
children don't have
sexist as
rights.
well.
So he's
Hmm.
sexist. And at the end of the day, all he wants you to do is sit at his throne and worship him, while the ones who didn't burn in hell for all eternity.
Hmm.
That is not love.
True.
That is not freedom of choice. That is a ultimatum
Hmm.
based on fear.
Yep.
So
Yep.
when you dig past all that bullshit cookie, you get to the poison of this God. And in that poison is when you really die. You know, you're
Yeah.
dead. Can you imagine how spiritually dead you would be? That if you were in heaven with this God, all you're doing is worshiping this God for all eternity. There is no day, there's no day nor night. You just worshiping this God, and that's it. There's nothing else
Sure.
about you. There's
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have nothing else. You don't
Also,
you don't.
I'm
no
sorry.
friends, no family, no nothing. You have nothing, but just worshiping this deity for all it. There will be a second revolt in heaven if I make it up there. Come be like, this is bullshit, and it's gonna be day one.
Like if
Day
he's
one.
all knowing, if he's all knowing, like like everybody claims to be him to be, then he wouldn't have me come up there because what you
No,
just said, he wouldn't even
yeah,
bother with me. He wouldn't even bother having me come up there because he wouldn't want to deal with
I know my ass
that.
ain't going.
Uh, but going off what you just said though, I also thought about that the last few days is that I wouldn't even want let's just say, oh, this is a good thing. Oh, this is a good thing.
Uh-huh.
But that worship thing, like I wouldn't even want to worship somebody who will want me to worship them in that manner.
Right. Well, it's kind of like I was saying earlier. A God. Oh shit! I bit my leg wrong. Almost caught a cramp. Uh, a God. In order for a God to truly be a God, it cannot be named. It cannot be encased in a book. It can't be described. It is
Hmm.
unknowable.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
Now, if a God needs worship or even requires worship, then because there is a need outside of itself, then that would make the need more powerful than the God, or the desire more powerful than the God. Therefore, that deity, that being rather, cannot be God either. So a God that
Hmm.
requires worship is not God, because the requirement of worship is greater than that God itself, right?
Could it be something similar to Freddy Krueger, that he's only in existence if people
In your
remember
dream,
him? No, if people remember him, like I think it was
or like Coco.
Jason. I think it was Freddy versus Jason. I
I don't know.
think
I don't
it's
watch.
the
I don't watch them kind of movies.
okay. Well,
But like the movie Coco,
Freddy.
I watch my
I'm not.
animation.
What's Coco? I never heard of.
Coco is an animated movie, and the only and when people die, they go into this heaven-like place. But you
Mm.
only exist there as long as there are people who remember you.
What?
Once the last person who doesn't
What?
remember you anymore, you transfigure or you transform and go somewhere else, and that is like a heavenly death. But
What?
so the whole
It's
movie
so.
is based on people remembering. Yeah, and they do this still in Central and South America, where and Mexico, where they have the Day of the Dead. The whole
Mhm.
holiday of Day of the Dead is remembering the people who died, and it's based off that. So like this
Mm.
God is
That's
only
crazy.
so or like American Gods. You ever watch that show?
Nah.
Oh damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Because the
Anything with God
power,
in it, I probably just overlook it
the only
except
power
for
that the
the
gods
book.
have, like it got Odin and it got like some of the it got Asar, it got some of the African gods, it got gods from all over the place. But the only way that
Mm.
these guys have power is if people believe in them. But as soon as
Yeah.
people don't believe, they become weaker the more you don't believe in them.
Okay. And that makes somewhat kind of sense, I guess, going off how we interpret worship, I guess, or that's
Yeah,
what we're trying to translate here. But that's something similar to what I was getting at with the whole Freddy. Like I think that's
right.
the movie that Freddy mentioned it in, that he was trying to kill people. Like even he couldn't even like kill them in their own dream because it's been so long since the killings and the murders been happening on Elm Street that people started to forget about Freddy. So he didn't have his powers like he used to. But when people he used
Oh, okay.
Jason, he used Jason kind of like how God uses all his prophets to commit havoc. He used Jason.
So,
He used Jason to commit all the havoc in his name, and that made people start to think about Freddy more, and Freddy became more powerful, and he was able to start killing again within the dreams that he was appearing in. So that's what made me think about what you was talking about. You froze up on me. You completely left on me. Hold on, let me try Facebook again. Maybe you're talking over there. Oh shoot, it's just me up in here.
Huh? Oh, yo, Donnie, sorry, my Wi-Fi here got it kicked me out and restarted it, but we all got it. Look, I can't wait. I can't wait to get to San Antonio because I want some good Wi-Fi. This Wi-Fi here in North Carolina sucks. Okay. So I appreciate Donnie for coming on. Donnie, post your page because that way when the interview that you and I did come up, people can be able to find it. Yep. I'm pretty sure some Christians are gonna be like, "Oh, see, that's what happened. God don't like you talking about him, so he messed up your feed." No, it's the Wi-Fi in North Carolina, in Wilmington, North Carolina. That's the problem. See, that's people not understanding cause and effect. There's cause and effect to everything in the universe. You know, I didn't have to restart it because this guy don't like it. This guy is pissed off. I had to restart it because the Wi-Fi out here in Wilmington is horrible. So that's cause and effect. It has nothing to do with your God. It has nothing to do with your deity. It's all just cause and effect. That's it. It has nothing to do with anything else. Nothing to do with anything else. All right, let's see some questions. I know you guys were talking a lot over there. Let's see. We got a little bit more time. A little bit more time before Angelina come up here and tell me to get off. Not that she would do that, but I'm just saying I'm gonna get off. All right. Said God tamper with the Wi-Fi. Won't he do it? Well, it's just the Wi-Fi here in North Carolina is just horrible. It's horrible. And I don't know, maybe it's where we're located, being closer to the beach. It's just even worse. Now I'm gonna do a video about Halloween at some point. I always thought Halloween was a Protestant celebration, much like Christmas, which is just celebration. Halloween did become more. It is more of a Protestant celebration. It is them taking the Wiccan celebration of Sam. Well, not a celebration of when this time frame when Sam Haman would allow for the veil, but well, he didn't allow it, but the veil between the living and the dead was thinner, and so people would dress up like the ghosts and goblins in order to hide from the dead, and then the trick or treat was like if you don't give us something, we're gonna destroy your house. We're gonna put a trick on you. There's also some stuff about virgins that's involved in it, but I want to save all of that for later. I'm gonna save that for later. Yes, cause and effect is the great law of life. I base pretty much everything on cause and effect. Like anytime something has happened, I'm looking for the causation of it. And anytime I'm doing something, I base what I do on the idea of cause and effect. Because, and if I don't get the effect that I desire, I go back and research my information, my facts, use critical thinking so that I can um, get back to the causation. I can get the effect that I desire. I swear, if it ain't this one is that one. Uh, I know somebody told me that I'm going to hell earlier. We're gonna have a party in hell, y'all. There's gonna be a party going on down there. All these musicians that people think are in heaven, they all in hell. Best concert gonna be in hell. That's the video I forgot to make today. Someday obtaining immortality will be as common as having a baby. Exactly. I thoroughly believe that within the next 50 years, that science will develop a technique to increase the telomeres on all your cells. And once you're able to increase the telomeres on all your cells, then you will basically continuously regenerate and you will be able to live forever. We already see that the whole 120, that's what the video I wanted to make today was about, that 120-year little time limit that this guy supposedly put on man. We see people living today who don't believe in Christianity that live past 120. They live past 120. I meant to do that as a video today. Heck yeah. What is it? Tupac in hell, Jimi Hendrix, Bob Marley. Gonna be a good party going on in hell. Gonna be a good party. Make sure you had the right wristband on. Make sure you had the right wristband on. Uh, no, that was satire. That was satire, MF. Hell is not a place. Hell is a state of mind. You can create your own hell right now. But if there was a hell, you know what would be funny? A lot of these gospel singers would be in hell. A lot of gospel singers and pastors would be in hell. They would. 99% of the pastors and gospel singers will all be in hell, except for CC Whining. Except for CC Whining. Let me tell y'all something. I had a low key crush on CC Whining back in the day. I sure did. I had a. I had, even sometimes when I see her today, I'll be like, "Ooh, CC." Uh, but yes, there's Della, as above, so below. Exactly. The hermetic laws are something that I really utilize as a great tool. And if you can understand the hermetic laws and utilize them properly, there is absolutely nothing you can't accomplish. You will, well, I ain't gonna say nothing you can't accomplish. There's still always gonna be something that you can't accomplish, but you will be able to do far greater things in improving your life and the life of people around you if you can understand the hermetic laws and apply them. Said Wi-Fi guy got him again. Yep. But yeah, most people. You know what, Skylar? Most people are in hell right now. Most people are living a life that is a low key hell to them because most people are living in a manageable level of misery. They're living in a manageable level of misery. They don't really like their life. They don't really enjoy their life. They know what to do to make their lives better, but they simply refuse to do what's necessary to make their lives better. So they have come to a level of comfort, right? They've come to this level of comfort of a misery that they can deal with, that they're fine with. It's become easy for them to deal with it. They know that this is a problem, but I don't want to do what's necessary to change it so I can put up with this problem. Because at the end, unless it's causing me to not be able to eat, no, have no shelter, have no clothes. And to some people, even that part is fine. But most people are living in a comfortable misery. I refuse. I refuse. Roger, do you think we all come from Africa, land on our backs for 3 or 4 months, no food, no water? If you believe that is how the transatlantic slave trade was occurring, then you are just believing the hype. First of all, the one ship that everybody keeps using only made 3 voyages. That ship made 3 voyages, and it was declared inhumane, and that's why it only made 3 voyages. Most other ships did not have people sitting, laying on their backs for 3 or 4 months. They was in cargo holds, and the trip wasn't 3 or 4 months. The trip across the Atlantic on those type of sailing ships took anywhere from 30 to 45 days, and it's easy to have provisions for 3 to 45 days, as well as you're out on the open water and you can fish, right? So, and they collected rainwater as they went across. So, so the idea of people laying on their backs for that time frame on that particular ship that you're probably thinking of never only happened 3 voyages. And yes, they lost about 50 to 60% of the people who were on those ships. So, people like to jump to, ooh, this is the one, and all the ships were built like this. No, they weren't. No, they were not. Go research that damn ship, and you will see that it only made 3 voyages. Most ships were not built that way. Most ships were previous cargo ships that got reused. That they were previous cargo ship for products, and then when the slave market became a product, that became the product, and they had regular cargo holds, just empty space with posts and things of that nature. And then what? Who would get into a business? Who would get into a business? You that the other reason that big ass ship that people use failed is because too much cargo was lost, and so it wasn't profitable. So not only was it inhumane, but it wasn't profitable. So no one would continue to build that ship. No, it's kind of like the food industry. You know that your business can survive as long as you keep your food waste down to somewhere between, below 10%. You really want it below 5%. 10% is way too damn high, actually. You want your food waste to be below 5%. So if you're transporting human cargo, you can't have a 30% loss of your cargo and continue to be in business. So you have to feed them, you have to give them water, you have to make sure people are healthy in order to get them to the place of sale. So this whole idea of that boat that they keep showing is ludicrous, right? Just it just shows that people don't research shit and they just go off of what they've seen. And most people, if they're trying to get you to believe in something, if they're trying to get an agenda across, they go for the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario. And that ship was the worst case scenario. It's a good question, love. What do I think happens once we die? Because if there is no heaven or hell, where do we go? The 100% truth answer is I have no idea where we go. Nobody has no idea where we go. You can't prove where we go, right? So, but based on what we can observe in our physical universe, we can observe that there are different levels of mindset. There's the human mind, there's the animal mind, there's the plant mind, and there's the atomic mind. And we know that, so there are consciousness that occurs on all these different levels. So when you apply the axiom of as above, so below, then for the levels of consciousness, for the levels of existence, sorry, so for the levels of existence that are beyond the matter plane of existence, then if your consciousness maintains its cohesiveness, then you will just exist on a whole another plane based on the vibrational pattern that you were able to create while you were here. Can you prove that? No, without a shadow of a doubt, no. But based on the most logical hypothesis, you manifest whatever it is you believe. So whatever your biggest belief is, that's what you manifest. And now some people in some religions, like Buddhism, for instance, or the Brahmin religion, because you got issues on earth and you got to satisfy your dharma, or your brain doesn't elevate so that you go through samsara and know which direction portal to go through, you just keep coming back to earth until you figure the shit out, until you figure out how to think beyond the concepts of what this matter plane existence says, you know. So the first thing that this matter plane existence said is just you just died and that's just it. Then it started creating these heavens and hells as forms of control through religion. But higher thinking minds understands and sees the universe as a continuous cycling and recycling of energy. And if your mind, like I said, if your consciousness stays intact, then your consciousness should theoretically go to a higher level of consciousness. But at the end of the day, don't nobody know and can't nobody prove it. Yep, Richard. People use the doctrine to prove, say one thing, and then do something, do whatever they want to do with it. Yeah. Now, as for me, I can't prove the higher levels of consciousness and existence. I understand it on this plane. So I'm betting on elevating my consciousness and my vibration so that if I'm right, I ain't coming back to this planet. Because you humans, and don't be offended, but you humans get on my damn nerves. I can't exist here with humans. Not y'all particular, but all these low vibrational, low brained humans. You know, you can have facts right in front of you, and they will choose to ignore it because of some doctrine that they believe in, whether it's religion, race, gender, politics, nationhood. It's people can't see beyond the facts for some reason, and I can't do that. I can't do that. Yep, Noah is an asshole. And Greek humans are too. Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. And it's even like, okay, like this statement: African, black, whatever the title is that what your people call themselves? So every people call themselves different things, and that's what is relatable to them. If I grew up in Africa, I would call myself African, or I call myself by my tribe, or by my my country, or something like that. We create titles to identify who we are and to give ourselves meaning. When at the end of the day, none of those titles mean anything, right? So earlier I mentioned that I had a tour guide. He was Czechoslovakian. Okay. Now, 2 years later, there is no such thing as Czechoslovakia anymore. Now it's Bosnia Herzegovina, and the was it Slovenia. So now he's no longer Czechoslovakian. So now he got to be one of those things. So now he got to recategorize himself. So all these titles that we create, even my name, is just a title that was created to identify who I am, and to help other people identify who I am. But none of these titles matter to me. I understand that I got to deal with racism, but I don't have to let racism identify me. If I'm dealing with and it's not always racism in the sense of negativity. When the census comes out for 2030, I'm going to fill out that census because I understand what the census is for, right? I understand if I don't, how it can benefit and how it could actually damage. So because I got to deal with it. But my thought process, I'm not black, I'm not African, I'm not American, I'm not a man, I'm not none of those things. I'm just energy. I'm energy that's stuck right now in the poverty of this shell that identifies to the world in our current state as a black American or African American or a Georgia boy. Somebody asked, was I an alien? Yes, I'm an AT alien. I'm an AT alien because Atlanta is my home, is where I'm from, rather, is where I was born and raised. But I'm just energy. We're all just energy. Everything in the universe is just energy, just vibrating at different frequencies. That's it. Yeah. And here's my guy here. I'm sorry, not a guy. Sorry, Kayla. I'm Jamaican, so my ancestors would have called themselves Jamaicans. Jamaicans are mostly of African blood and race. If those names didn't exist, we would just use whatever title is being used. Exactly. Now, you know what freaked me out? What was funny? I used to have a lady, she owned a shop next to my popcorn shop in Decatur. She was Jamaican. And she would tell you all day, I'm Jamaican. I'm Jamaican. I'm Jamaican. But her parents had came to Jamaica from China like 2 generations prior. And the first time she talked to me, I was like, is she being funny? Because she was speaking patois and everything. But she's Jamaican. You can't say she's not. She was born and raised in Jamaica. Her parents were born and raised in Jamaica. Her grandparents weren't born and raised in Jamaica, but she was Jamaican. It's just a nationality. And we identify ourselves under nationalities, right? That is one of the things that's so pervasive about the Bible. Oh, these Israelites are my chosen people, God's chosen people. And I don't even understand why Christians still support this God. but the Israelites are the chosen people. So now you got people running around, everybody, all these people trying to claim Israelite heritage. I want to be an Israelite. I want to be, I need to be from the tribe of Shem. I need to be from the tribe of Judah or one of the 10 lost tribes. That's what happened. All the black people who went through slavery, they were from the 10 lost tribes. No, the 10 tribes got absorbed by the Assyrians when they conquered northern Israel. The 10 lost tribes are the Assyrians who then became, people of Jordan and Syria and Lebanon and uh, what uh, would be some of Turkey and Afghanistan. But everybody wants to be, because these supposed to be the chosen people of this God, and they still attached to this book. Then I want to be Israelite. I want to be a Hebrew. You just want to be something. I asked the Hebrew dude one of them Hebrew Israelite, them Power Rangers. I asked him one time, prove your lineage. Prove it to me. Show me the documentation of here's your daddy. Who's your daddy? Who was your daddy's daddy? Who is your daddy's daddy's daddy? Who is your daddy's daddy? Until you can show me some line of heritage that goes back to Israel, your ass is not Israelite. You can't claim that. If that's the case, anybody can claim anything. And then who I would never want to worship a God that has a chosen people, and then the Gentiles are just grafted in like redheaded stepchildren. And you know them redheaded stepchildren don't get traded, right? Poor little things. Ain't done nothing wrong but be born. Get treated wrong. But no, I wouldn't want to, this bullshit. No, I know that there are 12 tribes, but they talk about the 10 lost tribes. The 10 lost tribes, remember the tribe of Judah was in the southern kingdom of Judah. You had the 10 tribes in northern Israel, and I think, well, 2 tribes in Judah, 10 tribes in northern Israel. But when the Assyrians conquered in the 800s, when they conquered the northern Israelite kingdom, well, they conquered all through Judea, all the way to the Sinai Peninsula. But they took the tribes of the northern kingdom of Israel and they dispersed them throughout the Assyrian Empire. So that's why they say the 10 tribes were lost. So that's what I mean by that. I know that I understand there's 12 tribes, you know, but even those 12 tribes is kind of a made up thing when you still look at it because it's just people sectioning off to name themselves something. It's kind of like if I told you the tribe people of Germania, where do you think I'm talking about? Like, where would you think I'm talking about if I said Germania? Because this used to mess me up back in the day. Is why I asked. Anglo-Saxon land? Nope. Somebody gonna get it half right. I oh shit, they keep moving. I do agree with that. I think most people who try to use the "we were already here" shit, they just low key hate Africa. I love Africa. Oh, I see what you're saying. The Germanic tribes, right? Now Kayla got it actually 1% right. It is Germanic tribes that stem from one people group and branched out into other people groups. Some of them are the Anglo-Saxons. The overwhelming majority of the Germanic tribes is what became French people. Some of them are Germans, but when it was called Germania was during the time of the Roman Empire, and the overwhelming majority of that land that the people who were Germania were what is modern day France. Because what is modern day Germany was so sparsely populated, harsher weather and all that sort of thing. But the overwhelming majority were. Now, some of them escaped into England, what is now known as England. They became the Northern Europeans, they became the Northern European countries. So they have a mixture of the different people up there between what is now known as Scandinavians and Norse and Vikings and the Britons. Because Caesar did draw a distinction between the Britons and the people of Germania. but the overwhelming majority are French. And that's just because of what Rome called them. And well, they call themselves that, but Rome more specifically. So names change all the time is the biggest point. Names will change all the time. America won't always be America. At some point in time in history, America goes away, and it will be something else. I think that the Hebrew Israelites, they just hate Africa. They just hate being. They don't want to be. They want to believe that the 10 tribes, the lost tribes, went to Africa, and then they were sold into slavery. Is what they want to believe. But they don't want to. But and they make up shit. And then you got people in Africa swearing up and down they Jews, swearing up and down they Jews, because the popularity of the religion. It's the most popular religion, right? It's one of the most popular religions right now. Right, technically, right now, it's the most populous religion, and because of that, people want to attach themselves to it and then make themselves great, you know. But it's all just names. Yeah, America is a German word. You'll get some pushback from that one because you had the people talking some. Oh, there was the Tramaria tribe in Florida, which was so much later after it was named America. Yeah, I don't. I've never been embarrassed about the history because history is revolving. The oppressed becomes the oppressor becomes the oppressed. That has been the cycle of the last 12,000 years. It'd be great for the cycle to end and people stop oppressing people. Dorian, you make a good point. And then, so the 1804 Haitian Revolution. One of the things that people don't like to talk about is the fact that the Haitian people went back to their voodoo and back to their orishas, and in doing so, it galvanized them to overthrow their oppressors. Now, the way I see it is that once they took that was shaking off the mental shackles and the emotional shackles of Christianity that was imposed on the Haitian people, and now you have a belief in self, a belief in self, and a belief in self will save your damn life. There are a few times in the military when I was in the military where I was in a situation and I was like, oh fuck this, I'm not dying. And just that belief in myself was enough to get me through. I didn't need God. I ain't need Jesus. I ain't need Allah. I ain't need Jehovah. I ain't need nobody. The only person I need to get myself situated in Liberia and in Rwanda was me. Me fi me is all I needed. So just unify, and that's the thing, giving people a unified, it's like running a company. If you can unify people on not the work, not the product, but on a vision, that's how you win. When people are unified based on a vision that is bigger than themselves, that's how you win. Like, think about it. Two political things. When you listen to Dr. King's speech, and you listen to almost all his speeches, almost none of his speeches, most of his speeches was not the I have a plan speech. It was the I have a dream speech. It was a vision that he pushed. When you look at Obama's presidential run, and I'm not pushing any candidates, but when you looked at Obama's presidential run, he wasn't a, you know, plan man, right? It was all about hope, all about hope. You give people a vision. That's why when I see some of these politicians and I'm listening to them and they talking plan, 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 plan. No, a vision. Donald Trump won the first time because he gave rural America a vision. A vision. That's how you win people over, is to give them a vision of what could be. All you got to do is do this, and this is what it could be. And that's how religion tricks the shit out of people because they get a vision of heaven, walking around heaven all day. You get to see your grandmama and them and your mom and your daddy all day. Couples talking about here. Think about this with a couple, and this has always threw me off, right, as a Christian, and actually it made me a little bit depressed at the time frame. But I want you to think about this: how many Christian couples do you know that think that they're going to be married in heaven? That they marry here on earth and they can't. And how many, like, one of them have passed on? They were like, I can't wait to see my husband in heaven. I can't wait to see my wife in heaven. You've known somebody like that. But when they read their Bible, the Pharisees asked Jesus a question about this woman been married to 7 different brothers. Whose wife is she in heaven? He said, none of them. You're not given unto marriage in heaven. But people don't want to hear that. People don't want to know that. They want the vision of I lived my life with my wife and she was so great and Angelina's so wonderful and woo, so that when we get to heaven, we get to spend eternity together in a more bliss than we've ever experienced. It's the vision. People want that vision. If you can facilitate false hope with people, I said false hope because Sean said giving false hope. If you can facilitate hope for people, people will believe it. People will run with that. You ain't got to give them nothing tangible. You ain't got to give them nothing that makes their life better in this world right now. Just give them some damn hope that their life gonna get better when it's all over. They showed y'all that. Color Purple, Sealy. When Oprah came and cussed her out, you told Harpo to beat me. Right now, just temporary. Heaven is forever. So she wouldn't take that ass whooping because she believes in some heaven is forever shit. Sealy was. Be treated like trash because she believed heaven was forever. So if you give a person a vision, you run. They will follow you to the end. What's the question? We're not gonna get into politics, but what president actually does a whole lot for the people? Period. The president is so limited in their power. Congress got the power. Judges got the power. Senate got the power. But yep, people give all their money to these churches. So you got to find a whole new husband in the next life. You might have to. Nope, because if you believe in the Bible, you're not married in heaven. And somebody said they had a question, but they ain't posted. You should have just posted the question in the first place, not go through all this extra. And don't take me my straightforwardness as being rude. That's just how I am. This is a if a woman is a virgin and of only one man to which she bonds, then she will also be one with him in heaven, as she was on earth. But if she has many men, she shall have no man in heaven if she makes it. Where does that come from? Where Elder Bud Blund? Where do you get that from? Where do you get that from? Because in the Jesus story, Jesus didn't say none of that. All he said was he said emphatically and with 100% certainty and using finite words, no one is married in heaven. So how do you go from, oh, well, it depends if she was a virgin, she only been with one man, then. But what if that man has been with multiple virgins? Does that mean that he get to have a wife in heaven? He get multiple wives? We getting Islamic on us? Okay, wait a minute. Zuri said, If Eve came from Adam's rib, that means they were sisters and brothers and shared the same bloodline, right? Uh, Not necessarily sister and brothers, but Eve would be a clone of Adam in the feminine form. So more of a clone than a brother and sister, because to be brother and sister, you got to have the same mom and daddy. Well, they don't have a mother and mother and father. They just are of creation, according to this story. So she would be a clone of Adam with just more of the feminine aspects of Adam being the primary physical form. But they would still be related. Yes, thank you. Straightforward and rude is two different things. I just know some people mistake my just like directness as being rude. But yeah, they would she would be a clone of him, and so he would be basically he was banging himself. He was a helpmeet unto himself. I wanted Elder Bud to tell me where he got that thought process that he put out there. All right, so if you're talking, so is that where you get that? Well, where do you get the virgin? You go to heaven with your virgin, but if the woman been with multiple dudes, she ain't married to nobody. That sounds sexist as hell. First of all, that's sexist. So if a dude has had multiple women, does that mean that he doesn't get to be with anybody in heaven? Why is it only the woman? You see, this is one of the reasons why I walked away from this religion, because this religion is sexist as hell. You can't get that whole virgin non-virgin statement out of what you just said right here. There's nothing to see, and that's your elaboration. Yeah, if this is further elaborated in explaining the lost books of Adam and Eve. So now you're going into a territory where you're saying that, well, even though the consensus of Christianity is that the lost book of Adam and Eve is not part of it, to which the lost book of Adam and Eve was written so freaking late and is nothing more than fan fiction, because people want to know more about what happened to Adam and Eve because they're not mentioned anymore after they talk about Seth. And so people just make up stuff, just like the books of Enoch. Books of Enoch are fan fiction. Jasher, fan fiction. Jubilees, fan fiction. Yeah, according to this story, yes, we are all from incest, according to that story. I'm about to get off here in a little bit of bed, so you ain't gonna miss much. The story of Lilith is also fan fiction that was created based on the Epic of Gilgamesh story concerning the Lulutu tree, um, as a way of explaining why people have childbirth, death in childbirth, and why children have crib death. But the Lilith story is just fan fiction that was added because Genesis 1, which was written second after Genesis 2, talked about a man and a woman, and people thought that people were created first, and then Adam and Eve were created. But Genesis 1 was actually written after Genesis 2, as to give further, a more broader general idea of what was happening in Genesis 2. So then they made up the fan fiction of Lilith because of the Sumerian Babylonian teachings of the Lulutu tree. But there is no Lilith. Lilith is just a concoction. It's just fan fiction. Yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna, even though we don't agree on spirituality, uh, Fareed, I will agree. If I was Christian, and when I was Christian, I thought this way: a marriage here is just promised to be with one another. It has nothing to do with God, and since that's the case, marriage in heaven would also make no sense, especially since Jesus said that there is no marriage in heaven. And then also because in Revelations, all you're doing is praising this God 24/7. So what the hell is the use of marriage in heaven? If all you're doing is yeah, praise God. Oh yes, we healed. Thank God, made in Jesus. Oh God, yes. Oh yeah. You doing that for all eternity? When are you spending time with your wife and husband? You don't. So marriage in heaven is stupid. Would be a dumb thing. But this God ain't past dumb. This God ain't past doing some dumb stuff. This God has done many a dumbass things in his writings. So many things. Do you think that the story of creation, wait a minute, do you think that in the story of creation, do you think that it took both male and female to create man? Because in Genesis 1, it says, let us create man in our own image. So there are many different scholastic thoughts on this one. So the let us create man in our own image is the divine counsel. From most sense of the thought process back then, most beliefs in gods were a divine council of gods. In this case, whether it's God and the angels, or it's the divine council of Anu, Enlil, Enki, and Harsag. Um, in the Sumerian text, they are all creating this man, and through different processes of using um, masculine and feminine energy, or pretty much surrogate motherhood. But it's going to depend on what point of view you're coming from, but it's all from a council. And it's in each one, the Sumerian is through like a test tube baby kind of situation and a surrogate mother. The Abrahamic version of the story is just making through some dirt and mud. Same thing with the Kemetic version of the story where they're just made through some dirt and some mud. And the what Aztec version is through some dirt and some corn. I'm gonna go on ahead. I'm about done with this damn TikTok. I call it sexist because it is sexist. I understand that you call it sexist, and there is much many will not understand because they just don't know. Example: women biology changed by the man's DNA inserted into her. Men do not change to women to DNA of a woman. Are you talking about that a woman's DNA changes because a man ejaculates inside of a woman? That bullshit story. Your DNA doesn't change. Can a woman's become chemically imbalanced because of a man that disrupts her pH balance? Sure. Can a man become pH imbalanced because of a woman's fluid getting inside his pee pee hole? Yes. DNA, a man inserting himself inside of a woman does not change her DNA. When what science are you? You must be. You know what? I'm gonna remain calm. I'm gonna remain calm. I'm gonna remain calm. I'm gonna remain calm. Okay, at least you got something. Both man is both male and female, having the X and the Y chromosome. Man is not both male and female because we have an X and a Y chromosome. It is that it. So women only have XX chromosomes. If men only had XX chromosomes, then there would only be one sex on the planet, and then we will be asexual, meaning that we just continue to procreate through asexuality. But other than asexual beings on the planet, everything else on the planet living has an XY chromosome type of makeup, which is what creates gender, which is allows for procreation on this planet. That's just natural biology. It ain't got nothing to do with no God. It ain't got nothing to do with being sexist. Now that's just biology. That men can't change a woman's DNA. I think when like religious people meet science, they lose their shit. They lose their mind. They brain ceases to work. They make up stuff in order to make it work. That is just like that's what is that like sixth grade biology? That's like sixth grade biology. That makes no sense. Speak on how God created man, then cursed man, and then murdered man just to become a man to save man from himself. Isn't it interesting that the perfect God, if well, let me rephrase, if this God was perfect, then the world that he created would have been perfect. There would not have been any imperfections within his creation. But yet what we see is an imperfection in the creation. As I said earlier, man, what God is a reflection of what man is. But let's say this Bible is true, then God would be a reflection of his creation, right? Well, this God's creation would be a reflection of himself. And in God's creation, there's good and there's evil. So therefore, that's why this God is not a perfect God, but he's because this God has conflict within himself. That's why this world, this universe was created imperfect. There's more chaos going on in the universe than there is natural order that is going on in the universe. It's just the way it is, right? And we have more imperfection on this planet than we have perfection. Think about it. The overwhelming majority of things on this planet is designed to kill you. It's designed to kill you. Most situations on the planet, from a virus and bacteria to a mosquito to a lion, tigers and bears to cold ass weather, um, to too much heat. Almost everything is designed to kill people. So this God is not perfect, and so a perfect world wasn't created. That's why they tell the story of the imperfection of this world, but then the blame then goes to man instead of the blame going to the imperfect being that created an imperfect world. Because what dumbass parent would put a loaded weapon in the midst of their child who doesn't know what death is nor what good and evil are? That's some that would you DFAS would be at your house taking your children. We have a DFAS in Atlanta. I don't know what it's called in your city, but your child will be taken away. Right. So no, this God does not create perfection because it is not perfect in itself. I mean, he says it in Isaiah that he created the evil and the calamity. So he can't help but create what he is. He says he's jealous. He says he's angry. So he got emotions that overwhelm him because he's not perfect. So no, this guy's not. And it's fine to believe that we were created by something. I don't believe that we were created by some being. You know, I can't, even though there's more proof of evolution than there is of creation. I'm not 100% on either side, right? I do lean more towards evolution than I would towards creation and God of the gaps and all that bullshit. But I don't create it. I would rather I'm more apt to follow planet seeding by aliens before I would accept God creation. The aliens came by and seeded the planet. The Anunnaki story is more real than the Bible story because at least in the Anunnaki story, they seeded. It's kind of like a planet seeding that they did, but yet the Anunnaki also believe that there is a greater conscious mind at work throughout the entire universe, and they just took advantage of humans, as most technologically superior societies have done in our own history. Yeah. But look at good people. It's been 2 hours and 19 minutes. I am 19 minutes overdue. I am hungry as all get out, so it is dinner time. All right. The next time I go live is today. Is what's today? Today is the 14th. Oh, tomorrow's my birthday, y'all. Tomorrow's my birthday. I'm not saying that because I expect y'all to buy me anything or get me anything. I'm just telling you that tomorrow's my birthday. I mean, I do sell merch. You can do that. But tomorrow's my birthday. And I just thought that y'all should know that tomorrow is my birthday. It is my born day. It is another solar return on tomorrow. Matter of fact, at 8:08 a.m. on October 15th, 1971, Mary Alice, had the most wonderful thing that she could ever want and desire in her life, which was me, because I'm the best child she has ever had. My grandmother got her greatest gift, me. So yeah, so tomorrow's my birthday. So I can tell you right now, I'm not going live tomorrow. Um, I can tell you that right now. I know I'm not going live tomorrow. Wednesday is a slight possibility. Possibility. I'll make some videos tomorrow, but Wednesday is a slight possibility. Thursday is our first day of moving to San Antonio. So I'll probably make some videos Thursday evening once we get to Atlanta, our first leg. And then, so I probably won't go live. If I don't go live on Wednesday, the next time I go live will be next Monday or Tuesday. Nope. I think, when does the Wi Fi get set up? Wi Fi gets set up on Monday, next Monday. Um, so probably next one, Monday. I do not smoke blunts, sir. I smoke cigars, JB. I smoke cigars. Ooh, tomorrow my birthday. I might. We've been holding on to some good cigars, so I might have to get one of my good cigars out for tomorrow. It's my birthday. So 5 years older than you are. Yep, 53. And see, in the numerology, 5 and 3 equals 8, and 8 represents the number of abundance. Y'all know y'all can't take me serious most of the time, right? So I crack myself up. I can always have a good time with just myself. Yep. So I appreciate everybody. I will see you on some. I'll make some video. Please go watch all the videos, share the videos, subscribe, like the channel, all that kind of happy good stuff. Comments. It helps the channel to grow. So I appreciate everyone. Um, Everyone who does stars or do super chats, I do appreciate all those. All the gifts, I do appreciate all those. I never ask for them, but I always want to make sure that everybody knows that I appreciate them. Right? Yep, I'm a Libra. So I want to make sure everybody knows I appreciate them. So thank you guys for being here. It actually is very humbling that this many people would actually want to have a conversation with me at one time. It is a humbling experience. So y'all have a great day. And remember always, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.